and I
No, Gina, get out of my seat.
You're reflecting, yes. If I turn to you, I want to be able to film you. I don't want to film the side of your head. So, yeah, please do. In fact, you can even sit right there.
Oh, you want me to sit on this?
Yes, you do.
I hope I have everybody's name. There's Barb to your right, Noelle, right? And is that, I see the green, is that Bob to Barb's right?
No, it's Suzanne.
She can't see you.
Oh, hi, Suzanne.
We're Philadelphia.
Oh, wait. So who's filming if Suzanne's not filming?
Jennifer's filming.
Jennifer. Oh, right. Sorry, Jennifer. I'm obviously a little tired. And then is that Janice?
No, and the
Joanne.
Joanne. Right. Okay. Got it. Oh, and,
Her daughter Lon.
and I'm so glad that it worked out. Jody, right?
Hey!
Yeah. I was wondering if it worked out for you to stay there. That's beautiful.
She did. She went and came back.
We just can't get rid of her. She just walked in the door.
Perfect.
Phone charger was here.
Oh, was it not?
That's the only
It was a
reason?
phone
Oh,
call.
yeah, that's
Fine.
right. She made sure that I was going to get my ass back here.
Okay, so it's Joanne. She came from Chicago with her daughter Lon, and then Jody, and then Jennifer from Philadelphia, then Pam, and Linda.
And Linda. So I can't see Pam and Linda right now, but there they are. I see Linda's face. Hi, Linda. Good morning.
No,
How do you want to start this?
Jennifer's going to change the camera.
I think what would be really nice to do, and I'll lean over so you can hear me, because I know you can't hear me on the Zoom. I thought what would be nice to do is to reflect about what we did, and then I can use a majority of the footage that I got yesterday as B-roll, because a lot of what you did went online and went live. But what we don't have is the deeper reflection of, what called us, what we see moving and happening in our own lives, why we're each here, that, we've been on this path for a long time, and it's a culmination of bringing things together. Whatever people think is important to share, to help get this movement happening more in the future, I think is important. And if I can capture a few nice sound bites from people that then I can overlay footage for, it's better than trying to capture you from the stage at a distance.
Yeah.
Talking about it. I mean, I have you, but still
in the wind.
I mean, the conditions made it really difficult. So a little more maybe about the brainchild behind this and the women that came together that are here. I mean, a core group of people that are in this house were involved in really helping to envision this region. So maybe talk about that dynamic, and then have the people here reflect on the powerfulness of it. Whatever you want to share. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I'm just
that all sounds really good. And I also
share sound and audio.
I also know that it's important to share some behind the scenery spiritual stuff that was going on that I don't know how many there were aware of, but should I launch right into this and talk about it, or what would you like?
Yeah.
Quiet behind us. Yep.
Quiet on the set.
Just for the big bar go across. Okay, rolling. Well, first of all, I think you got Jennifer and everybody that the brainchild behind this gathering is Earth Mother, because of my relationship with her. It was her idea that this happened. She first told me last fall, and then told me, woke me up, really early in July, that it needed to happen this fall before the elections. So she's the one behind it. And when Earth Mother really wants something to happen, that means that there are a lot of various spiritual weavings of people and energies and magic, and call it what you will, but she was orchestrating a whole lot of it, if not all of it. And this is, I think, really why you're here videotaping it, is somehow you were meant to be a part of this. Just like the young man, Vikas, who did the live streaming, showed up just this week also. I knew we needed live streaming. The call was out for it. He called me. He wanted to talk to me about another event. I said, by the way, are you coming? Can you live stream? He says, yeah, I can do that. He even had extra batteries packs with him. He was all set. So this is really Earth Mother's baby. And what I wanted to share, and this is really powerful, is what most people don't know, is that I'm very blessed to work with some very gifted light workers, healers, who can work remotely very easily. And so there were a team of people working behind the scenery long distance to facilitate not just yesterday, but all the planning and the meetings and all the various tests that came up over the past 3 months when this first was announced to me by Mother that this needed to happen in October. So, so one of these women, I don't know if I can even say her name. I don't think I'm supposed to say her name because she works very quietly behind the scenery, but she's extraordinarily gifted. And so she was actually watching the live stream. She was very grateful for that because otherwise I was supposed to text her when we were going to start the invocations so that she could then come in and be there in the spiritual realms to help hold the space. So she was extraordinarily excited about what happened during the day. Earth Mother is very excited about what happened during the day. I'm going to try to share in a nutshell part of what happened, which is the most significant thing, which most people probably are not even aware of, is that, and she's been teaching me a lot. The only way the sacred feminine, the divine feminine, is really going to come back into the planet in the most powerful way possible is for the divine masculine to first come back and help hold the space for the divine feminine. And according to this woman, essentially the divine feminine has not been in the planet in a powerful, deep way for some 860,000 years. We're talking long before humans even evolved. Things have been going on the planet energetically with various energies and, shall we say, beings who have not been for the highest good of Mother that basically blocked the divine feminine out, pushed her out and blocked her out. And so again, the only way for the divine feminine to truly come back in is when the divine masculine can come back in and hold the space. So what happened yesterday in the midst of the ceremony, and Elizabeth, where's Elizabeth? She was there for this because that was the altar she was in charge of with Carrie. Hi. So Elizabeth was in charge of the water altar. So the ceremony that Yeye Omileye was leading to the mothers of the 4 elements is a very powerful ceremony. And we can talk a little bit more about that in a moment if you want. But when Omileye started to go into a bit of a trance because of the drumming and because the goddess was there, we had invoked her in all of her manifestations. We had also invoked the divine masculine quietly. That wasn't as prominent in invocation, but it was very much an important part of the day for the balance. And so when Omi started leading the ceremonies, first she took all of us to the air altar of the Mother of Air, and we did prayers and apologies and sent our love and gratitude, propitiations. And then we all came back to the center to the drumming. And the drumming was powerful because it was really holding the space and the goddess was really deep there around the drumming. And she started to go into a bit of a trance. I was a little concerned, but her husband, Chief Olu, knew exactly what was going on and was there to support her and hold her. And so then we went to the fire altar. And he actually spoke there because she couldn't speak because she was in such an altered state. And he is a very powerful high priest in the Ifa tradition. They're an amazing couple. The way they balance the divine masculine and the sacred feminine is so powerful. So when he was finished, and we went back then to the drumming and brought the energy back and everyone gathered again to focus the energy. Then we went to the altar of the element of Mother. Element of water, Mother of Water. And there was a big iron cauldron there that one of the volunteers had brought. And that was a powerful thing because one, we were all mixing our sacred water in there. And Bob, I don't know if you were a part of the group of men that came together for that. Were you part of that group of men?
I was.
Okay, beautiful, because I'm going to share with you what happened that I found out later last night.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So Omi did her prayers, and then Chief Olu saw this cast iron huge cauldron and was astounded because in the Ifa tradition there is a god of iron. And he had already spoken for the divine masculine at the fire altar, and it basically was starting to offer apologies to the divine feminine then. But when he gathered the men together around the iron cauldron, and I actually wasn't there to watch because I was trying to round up more men at the time, but apparently I think there were 12 men or 13 men. And he had you put your hands in the water, and he reached his hand up to the cosmos. Well, this gifted light worker healer woman was clearing the space in a very powerful way while he was doing that. And he actually reached up through multiple dimensions spiritually and opened the ways. And I don't know how many of you are feeling this energy, but he opened the spiritual waves. It was like a tube of energy came down from, how did she word it? From basically the sun, which is a masculine energy, came down, and the way was open for those energies to come in for a full 15 minutes and were held and went right into the ground there, to the point where it brought the divine masculine into the earth in a way that hasn't been seen for hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah. And so just this woman was astounded. I mean, she was texting me as soon as the event was over. I need to talk to you. This is amazing. I need to talk with you. And so what happened is everyone who was there was affected by that energy. The energy is still reverberating there in the land. And as a matter of fact, she said that this infusion of divine masculine energy is a huge, colossal step in then allowing the divine feminine to come in more powerfully. The actual energy that came in yesterday it rippled out 3 miles to the White House, to the Congress building, the Capitol building. Now, I'd like to think the Pentagon is within 3 miles, but I think it's pretty close. It might be within that 3 mile radius. These energies are going to reverberate and stay, and they're probably just going to continue to be fed with more good ceremony. But she said this was hugely powerful, the energy shift that happened. And I needed to share that with you because when there's ceremony like this, and I knew Mother guided me to reach out to this woman. She and I had already connected a year ago in the fall. She's good friends with a Shoshone elder, very gifted Shoshone elder, and he connected me with her. And then there was another really gifted gentleman who was helping to hold space spiritually long distance. But every single one of us who was there had our chakras opened up to another level. And so, Pam, I was thinking about you in particular because I know you're sensitive, and I saw you being surrounded by the hugs toward the end. Those of us who are really sensitive really felt it, but everybody was feeling it, and everyone was shifted by it. And the land there in DC, this was meant to be in DC. This was meant to happen like this. And the only way it could have happened at that level is because of these team of light workers who were working long distance. And this one woman is extraordinary. And she keeps a pretty low profile, but she said to me, she said, this is my work, is to have ground crew and to do this level of work when there's ground crew. And so we laid the ground crew in. You guys are all part of it. All of you came not really knowing what was really going to happen other than you were called. I knew that Mother wanted this to happen. And so this is a huge shift for the planet. Yeah.
And can I pop in and say one thing?
Sure.
Answering that call, I had 3 dear goddess friends come from Toronto who saw the Facebook event and moved heaven and earth to come. And they have heard me sing that song over this past decade, many, many different places in many different ways. And the words literally are, I hear you call, love is all. And my friend said to me last night, I feel like you wrote that song for today.
Wow.
And I wrote it 11 years ago. It came through me. So we are beyond space and time. So we did all answer the call. And love, it just is all, and it penetrated through every one of us to the core. And so that was just me saying, those words came to me, and it feels like they were a prophecy, and they came for this event with 1,000 goddesses gathering.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
all answered the call.
Yes, yeah, and love is such a huge term, and one of the things I'm really learning is one way to characterize love, which I don't fully understand, is sacred union between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And this woman was just in awe of the way that Chief Olu and Omiyeye work together. Their relationship, he is really embodying the divine masculine in that relationship so that she can fully embody her divine feminine and the powerful work she's been called to do during this life. Because if you read her story, hear her talk very much, she'll tell you that she resisted this calling. Like I resisted with Mother. There's been a lot of resistance in the past few months doing this event. Let me tell you. And there have been a lot of tests doing this event. And I have to say, I'm really grateful and blessed to have these powerful lightworker friends who were able to continue to clear the energies out when stuff was coming at me. Because there are energies on the planet that didn't want this event to happen, but their time is limited. Their time is really up. And but everyone who came together there yesterday, and all, I don't know how many watched the live stream, but there are a bunch of people on the Facebook page that were clicking yes, thank you, checking it. And so the energy was felt. And plus there were the satellite groups around the country and in Paris and in Canada,
India.
in India, yeah. So it was big. It was really big. I think there's a reason I feel pretty tired today. I got home last night after dinner, going to the restaurant. I just hobbled into my space, and I was like, oh my God, I need to take a bath and go to bed. And then this woman's like, can we talk tonight? Can we talk tonight? I'm like, okay. No, it was really important that she share with me. Yeah, and she's the kind of person that gets hired for really big spiritual events so you can either do it long distance or be there in person, and she will hold the space so that whatever energies that want to mess it up to keep the light from being as strong as it could be, she keeps them cleared. She just clears them and clears them and clears them. She's amazing. I mean, I feel like she talks a different language when I speak with her. When she starts doing the clearing, I'm like, I don't know what that means, but then I always feel a lot better after we talk, so it's all good. But I really want to thank her and the quiet behind the scenery people who were not there, who were really holding the space. But we were all holding the space there. We really were. And I don't really know everything that happened because obviously I was, doing my thing. I did hear that it was very cathartic for a number of people. Some people really felt the energy and it was very healing for them. And I was so happy to hear that because I know there wasn't a lot of time at the healing stations for people, and we didn't have the pop-up tents, and it was a bit chilly. I can say this, that when we first got there and were setting up, and there was another group next to us that had a morning slot next to the Vietnam Memorial, and they were doing unwreathing, something like an unwreathing ceremony. And it was a lot of military men in uniform and their band. And I have to say the energy dropped really fast as soon as they started gathering and doing their ceremony. And I was like, oh gosh. I mean, this is why we need the feminine. Is our society, our world has been for too long under control of forces that really love the war energy.
But
and I feel like
gospel singers in the background, and that just blew me away because it was the military, and then they started playing the recording of Robin Williams and Good Morning Vietnam, and then in the background I could hear the gospel singing, and the whole thing just was a combination, and that really welled up inside of me, and that really, I mean, I was almost in tears then, and then the sun came. So
Yeah.
that was awesome.
And by the way, I don't know how many of you caught this, but the sunset yesterday, and the way the light, the sun, and the clouds were around the Washington Monument, and then to the west too, stunning. It was a really beautiful end of the day. And also, Omi Leye definitely got the message from Oshan that one of the goddesses in the Ifa tradition is about the wind. And that was very intentional in the spirit planes to have really powerful wind to help clear the old energies out. You know, really, there was so much going on the spirit planes for this gathering. I don't understand it all. You know, I don't understand it all. I just know that when Mother says this needs to happen, I'm like, okay, great. You know, let's manifest it, and you need to help, which she does. She's huge.
Mayor, I'd like to share a little bit about of that men's ceremony.
Please.
I really appreciate you sharing what was happening behind that, what was happening in other dimensions of that, because I was busy with other things, kind of in the 3D world, being of service, feet on the ground sort of thing for the major part of the morning. And so I saw the altar ceremony going on at the first location, but I was off doing something else in this world. And I realized I really need to be there to live broadcast the Co-Creators Convergence Facebook page by the time we got to fire. So I was there for that. I'm not sure how the sound came out for it, but I saw the dynamic between him and her at the fire altar, and that she kind of leaned to him and said something, and then he spoke. And he talked about apology, and he talked about masculine and about the balance and that sort of thing. So I was right away to be there when you got to the water altar. And it was, when he called for the men to come in, it was just so powerful. I just stepped there immediately. It was like automatically I have to be in this conversation. And there were 3 or 4 that came in immediately, and then there was like this call for them, and the chief said, okay, last call, this is for the men, last call, we need you in here. And I felt, my feeling at the moment was a little moment of desperation, because no, there aren't enough men, I know there's more men here, there should be more men coming around here. And he said, the last call, and then I was just at ease with the feeling that it is us to represent.
Yeah.
And so for those who didn't see it, he had us put our pinky finger on the ground, rounded to the earth, a pinky finger of our left hand, and the index finger of our right hand into the pool of water in the cauldron. And then he said his prayer. And it was just amazing. It was just amazingly powerful. It really felt like a representation of all. And to hear you say what was going on in a place where I wasn't, but I was. It was really amazing, and I really felt that. And there were other, I had before that written my intention over the intention pledge promise station. And as soon as I went inside to ask, what is my intention here, it was the words of the fellow from Conscious Living TV in the morning that said it all. He said, I'm to follow the goddess. And so that's what I wrote, was my intention was to follow the goddess.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we concluded and stood up for that ceremony, I took out my intention banner and shared it 360 around to the group. And I really, it was very powerful. It was very amazing. And when Pamela sung and turned to the
Yeah, and Bob, my sense is that those of you who were there, the men who were there for that, went through a bit of an initiation, whether you realize it or not. You had a spiritual activation there. I mean, we all did, but you guys were right there. The energy was also moving through you. So,
Well, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. And I haven't been feeling great for a number of weeks after lifting a bunch of stuff. And holding the geodesic dome in the wind in the morning for a while was really kind of painful, a strain. But that's the best I've felt physically in 2 weeks.
so you have the healing energy. Good.
I've been in the goddess energy all weekend here in this overnight too, and healing from many here. And but it was there as well.
Yeah, and I think that You know, I'm sharing this piece with you. And I know that you're filming this, so this is meant to be shared broadly, I guess. But I think we also really need to remember that if we're really talking about invoking the divine feminine, it's invoking the divine masculine and the divine feminine. But this awareness that the divine masculine has to come in powerfully first to hold the space, to make it safe for the divine feminine come in, is huge. And I think this conversation, I mean, I got messages from Mother a few weeks ago. I mean, she's constantly giving me little assignments on the side saying, and at some point you're gonna need to work on this. I'm like, okay, great. Well, can we table that a little for right now? But she was saying this conversation about who sacred guardians are, what they are, what is the divine masculine, is a really important set of conversations that more and more need to have men. I mean, I was getting an email from a young man on Friday who had hoped to drum. He's a musician. He had been recruited and the woman coordinating the sound healers thought it would be okay for him to come. And then we had a big discussion on Friday morning or Thursday night actually. And then, so she sent him an email and said, you know, really the role for men at the gathering, Thousand Goddesses Gathering, is to be sacred guardians. We're not looking for more men to perform or drum, and please, if you can understand this. And he challenged it. He's like, I don't understand what this means. What is a sacred guardian? And so she copied and pasted the definition that I'd written on the website months ago. And then I responded, she copied me on the email. And so I said, well, we need you to help hold space. He goes, I don't know what that means. Please, can we talk over the phone? And this is like Friday. I had a lot of details flying the last day. And so essentially Eldritch helped me draft up a response to him, speaking to the role of sacred guardians. And I think Mother had been working on him energetically because he had calmed down later in the day and wasn't pushing me. There wasn't so much pushback. And I just, but he's a young man who needs mentoring, like so many. Older men need mentoring. What is the divine masculine? And what does it mean to be a sacred guardian? And I love seeing Bianca and Michael Alexander up there on stage because they get it also. They're a brilliant couple, brilliant. She used to be a lawyer in the entertainment industry in LA. She's brilliant. So I'm sorry they didn't stay for the whole day because I think they would have really loved it. And I'm sorry, that Elizabeth Kucinich and Dennis didn't stay for the whole day. I'm going to be talking to Elizabeth one-on-one about what transpired in these spirit planes that was so powerful. But Mother wanted this event in DC for this energy to come in. And it was 15 minutes of just direct transmission. Very powerful divine masculine sort of beam of energy at very high levels came right into the earth there. Thanks to you guys, Bob. Thanks to all of us, thanks to all of us. We're one big team.
I was there, and I think the water station for me, where's was it? Yeah, I'm still looking for it. The prayers at the water. So many of us were on the ground with all fours in our whole bodies on the earth. And Mare, when you brought up the Standing Rock, no, you did, and who Olamide was praying over the waters, and when she brought up Standing Rock, I'm seriously slipping on the grass and feeling for the waters. And when that whole ceremony was over and the divine masculine was being called in, I feel so honored that I was right there at that moment. We were all busy doing different stations and doing what we were doing, but at that moment I was there, and you, Bob, were like directly across from where I was. I think that was video. And very powerful. It's almost like I could see that, what you're talking about, that vortex coming in, to have all these men with their pinkies and their fingers, and it's like they're doing it for us. And it was so beautiful. I think that was one of the highlights of the gathering. There were so many. But I want to add to the fact that the men were there was that
my focus was a lot on the children who were there. And I know Mary, it was like, should this be open to children and ceremony is sacred? But when the children were dancing and they were into it and they were at the joy station and they were making their little Play-Doh things and they were bouncing the ball of the globe and little girls and little boys, I made a point to talk to all of them, or as many as I could, to thank them. You are our future. The fact that you love this and you're here is doing something so wonderful for the world. Thank you for being here. And that got me there. Is really, the men and the children, because the goddesses who were drawn to be there were goddesses. We already knew why we were drawn to be there. We didn't know exactly the extent of it, and it's just opening up for us. But it was the men and the children that brought the balance. Because that's the new world.
I felt that so much too, and the early morning hours and people who were starting to arrive, I could see that written on everyone's face. There was an expectancy and a joy, and almost like the gathering was already seated in everyone who was coming. And it was expansive and huge, and yet, as you're referring to the ceremony, I was there too at the water ceremony, and seeing everybody on all fours, hands on Mother Earth, and many people with their forehead right to the ground, almost like we were having this communal darshan with Mother Earth. And when Onlay started to do the ceremony, it was just so intimate. I felt like it was from the micro to the macro. I know that we were doing grid work, and I know that portals were being opened up. And there was such a divine intimacy that was happening. The tears were being shed. You could see people almost, I have to say, like there was the expectancy of, oh, there's the goddess and there's chocolate stations and there's going to be music. And there was an expectancy of a festival atmosphere, but it went deep so quickly. And I want to cry too, again, because you could see people in deep reverence, in deep union, that the vision that you had, seeing it being played out in every man, woman, child, and there were even some four-legged, some of the dogs that were there. There was the one dog that was just laying there like, pet my belly, give me love, and he was just completely surrendered, embodying this incredible merging of the intimacy and the connection, but yet being so surrendered, belly up. Like we were all there, belly up, just surrendered, or belly down, but no defenses. In that way, that's how we came together so powerfully. Because I always say that music and sound offers a vibrational bridge to your undefended heart. And so many of us have been defended. And I agree with you. When I heard that fife and drum marching music, I'm Canadian. And I spoke to a friend and I said, oh, we don't actually have the equivalent of this in Canada. All of our marching music is from that military machine. It's beautiful, but it generates a different feeling. So as the day progressed, I just felt like it was this incredible laser that was this pin spot of incredibly powerful energy, that it went from the micro with this intimacy and vulnerability and connection to the macro. And when I turned around to sing to the monument, I literally felt the energy of Mother. She said to me, turn around, take the energy that is you are feeling from everyone gathered here and beam it from your heart to that monolith, and it will go up. And so that's what I was called to do, is let it go to the heavens. Shower the love over the world. Thank you, Mother, for your faith in us, that you play such a divine mission in our hearts.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Pamela.
Yeah, you want to share, and she also wants to.
I just want to bring it back to what Linda was saying about the children, because Barb and I, my co-star here, we were working at the Promise Station, And we had little bits of cloth. Actually, can you hand me one right behind you? There's a big one. Also, one of our goddess sisters who couldn't make it here because of last minute health emergency with her husband, she and her friend cut up about 500 pieces of cloth. And she couldn't come here, so she FedExed it to us. And we asked people to, you're here, you're inspired, you are going to give or receive a message from Mother that you want. And they're kind of a little hesitant to do it because it's not like you're structured, you've been through a workshop, now let's do your intention kind of thing. They're kind of a little hesitant to do it. And I said, what you're going to do is you're going to write on there, and then you're going to put this under the pillow, and then it's all going to come true. So they're grabbing the pens. But we had so many kids. And the kids, I'll just say this as a generalization, that the adults were really about themselves or the universe, something, the kids were like, how do you spell animals? And they, drew pictures, and it was just so delightful to see that they were so happy. And I said, so this is just like with this is just a little message now that you can put under your pillow and keep with you. And they were so tickled, and so were the adults doing it. They just, so I hope everyone here, the goddesses in this room, all had a chance to do theirs. And I don't know whose this is, but it turned out it was just glorious. So Janet and her team in Colorado, who were live streaming with us.
Yep.
So they were there too.
Great.
I'm going to say one other thing about the Divine Masculine, because the messages were coming in, because I know that Laura George was working on the team of putting this together. And she said she woke up in the middle of the night one time and it said, she got the message, remember the Father. Remember her saying that, Mary?
Mm-hmm.
And then another friend of ours, Leanne Hetzel, she did a meta kind of reading. And they came through. The very first thing in that reading, which was about 2 pages long of information she got about the event, was about the Divine Masculine and about the man. So, but it's so there were so many messages there. But I'm going to say one last thing about the energy that was there. We have some beautiful beings here, and they are equipped with cameras. And we have some most shocking, beautiful pictures of orb beings that were there. And a funnel, like when you described like the 15 minutes of the ray from the sun coming in, Bob did a panorama picture at one time, and there we're looking at it and going like, oh my God, what is that? It's like a column of light.
It actually was to the first, where she first spoke, the element of fire.
It went air. Air was the first one.
Oh, I'm sorry. But it was the first one I recorded. The first
Where
one
you
I
were.
was fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. Well, there were a lot of spiritual beings there, and there was energy coming. I guess it was starting to come in then with Chief Olu. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, but we have like blue sphere beings, and with as our friend said, who's very heavenly connected, she said, oh, you can see that we have company. She just kept calling, oh yeah, there's another group of company. She's very accustomed
Up in the sky.
She's very accustomed to capturing pictures.
Well, yeah, remember that we invoked a lot of really powerful spiritual beings, and they came.
They came.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They came. And some of them I'm sure were nature spirits, but I know a lot of them were actually, you could call them angelic beings, you can call them whatever you want. I mean, we called on Zeus quietly, we called on Poseidon, we called on the Great Divine Father. I mean, the list is long, and we did that quietly before it actually started, because we knew that from the stage it was important for a lot of people to hear us call in the Divine Feminine. But we knew from, so my sense is that's who's being photographed. And the feminine deities, all the goddesses. Yeah.
So I yield the floor to Elizabeth.
Oh, cousin. Yeah, I did not have this on my radar at all at this event. And my friend Shelley said, "We should go to this event. I'm going to be up in Maine." And it just,
Here, can you hear?
here,
Not very well.
I only went out of this way. And my friend Shelley, we made a plan to come together, and it didn't end up for her to arrive. And so, of course, an opportunity to anchor a water altar, the presidential front yard.
So,
I think I need to be there. And it was so fun creating the altar and really just listening into it. What wanted to come, what didn't want to come. The mask that I had in the water, she'd actually broken off of her mount, and I had her put away for the longest time. That beautiful glass face. And I've never before used her in that way. And she just said, "I'm coming." So I had to dig for her. She was well buried in my stuff. And I had to dig deep to find her. It's like, "Oh, how am I going to transport her?" So I carried her like a baby. I asked a lot of people. Carrie added her part. We had, it was a really beautiful blend of each of our energies in that altar. And I asked a lot of people, "So what's your favorite area? What are you really feeling into?" And all of the kids said, "Maybe in the water."
I love it.
And they all just really, really were drawn to that face.
So was that your glass mask that Omileye was carrying around and using for the Walter part?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I was wondering if that was hers. That was powerful. And I don't know if you saw, but like before every time before she went to any one of the altars, she went around and blessed each one of the drummers.
Mm-hmm.
And first it was flowers to their forehead and to the ground, and then to the next drummer, to the forehead, to the ground with the flowers. And then it was with one of those like candle pieces to their forehead, to the ground before going to the fire. And then for the water altar, she used your mask and blessed each person who was drumming, helping hold the space energetically with that glass mask to their forehead, to the ground. And then for the earth altar, it was a brass bowl that had some leaves and maybe some stones in it. I don't know what was inside, but she blessed each one of the drummers with that before we went to the earth altar. That was powerful. Thank you for bringing that. Thank you for all that was a beautiful altar. It was beautiful.
A little bit more about the whole water concept. Because we really love it. I think I really want it. But just about it. Yeah, I'm glad to see it. Yeah, let's. Waters for you, Mayor, for being selected by the Earth Mother. Water has selected me to be her herald. And I had no idea what that meant when it first came in. And really, I've come to learn as in just my experience with holding that, is to invite humanity to return to our sacred relationship with water. And of course, it is all the earth. But the thing that they've just discovered scientifically is about 40% of the water on Earth is older than the sun. And so really, and there's water all throughout the universe. And one of the messages that I've got is that water creates the planets. That the interstellar ice starts concentrating until the pressure in the center of the vortex creates a fusion. that starts the sort of planetary process of the birth of the planet. And water's part of that. And it's not that we have life on Earth because we have, just because we have water. Life is water, we know that. But it's because we have liquid water. So it's our position that Mars has water, that every single planetary body that they've been able to get readings on has shown the presence of water. Water is the great conductor. And I really feel the importance of, in our ceremonies, in our lives, in our being in this way, is to tap into that wellspring, to send our root into the wellspring. Underneath the crust of the earth, there's an ocean of water between the magma and the crust of the earth. It's always coming up. It's the primary water, and that's the primary water cycle. And so by tapping down into that wellspring energetically, we communicate to all the water on the planet. And so in order to make this transformation, and I know Ole does this with her vision of the tsunamis. I also had a very similar type of dream that involved tsunamis. And what I was told is that we must be the first molecules of this tidal wave. And as we go, so too the rest shall follow. By our intention that we set, we follow it, and it's carried in the memory of the water, in the conductivity of the water, in the energetic plasma of the water. That message will, bam, it's going to hit like
We're
that.
talking about an energetic scenario.
Yes, in the water, in carried on the water. And so really for me, the invitation in the next 5 years, all the change makers, all the transformation makers, to really bring water in. And it's not to discount the other elemental waters. They're all going to be there, present. But to carry that message in the way that it needs to happen to make that transformation on Earth in time. We infuse our water, and that will carry it. And that's what happened. That's what happened when, he did, right? The power after water, he was sending it to all the water in the universe in that moment. And wow. And so by bringing the water element and really intentionally infusing that water with our prayers and then releasing it back in. This is what the Tibetans do when they create their sand paintings, their sand mandalas. Is they fill the salt and then they put it back in the water, sweep it all up, put it into the water, and all those prayers are carried on the water. So I'm not surprised that super powerful moment happened at the water altar, because that's how our messages are carried. And I believe we have consciousness because we're water, because constitutionally we're 70% water, but really 100% water. Without water there is no life. And it's the marriage of the sun and the earth, and our atmosphere is in fact water verified. We have our atmosphere because of water. And the Mother Earth is the community. She holds us. And it's a theory that's percolated. We don't necessarily have any scientific evidence of it. But if the planet is in fact created through interstellar ice, she's born in the energy of the solar powers, the solar energy
creating a movement throughout the universe, right, to create a generative force. So that's what brought me on that one, and what I wasn't quite aware of the invocations that were happening. I saw they were happening, but anchoring the water, I was standing there, really, really feeling to follow in. And so I started reading something, reading it really loud, and when that was complete, the whole energy of the crowd came in, and I felt like being inside. The opening the gateways. Yeah, so that was my personal experience with that one moment that happened at the waterfall. Feeling it all, I was good. I was wondering, was my face snatched out of the breath? Yeah. I'm going to do that. My name is Redux. I have a deep pianist. I'm doing the gold in spiritual as it is tarot. And it's spelled my tarot in mine. It's spelled in extra tarot. So it's been tagged me. That's so, I am from the Lake Tahoe watershed. Southwest in Northern California. I know, but I'm the audio. You do? Yeah, because I made, I made just I moved here, I'm Tangerine, I came from Canada and I'm Pamela Bain. I'm based in Stratford, Ontario, Canada. The earth is my home. The water is my carrier. The wind blows me as it did yesterday. And I feel that my mission is as a messenger of life, a messenger of divine love, embodied love, sacred union that Mare speaks of. And I came to a beautiful thought with a dear friend, my friend, as we were talking in the car the other day, and she said, if you could put it in one sentence, because it's poetry, it's music, it's many things. So I said, usually I said I'm the voice of the divine feminine, but that felt too personal. I'm not the one voice. The energy comes through me as the mother. And so I am here, I am voicing. For Mare, can you hear us, Mare? We're just kind of going around the room and saying who we are, so I have an audio of that. So I'm going to get Linda next to the TV.
Yeah, I'm honestly not catching a lot of it, and part of me is like wondering, for my sake of energy.
Yeah, you know what, Mare? Just give me just a little bit. Give me your name, spell your name, tell me where you live, and why you came to do this ritual.
Okay. So my name is Mare Cromwell. It's Marecromwell. I live near Frederick, Maryland, in a small little historic village called Buckystown, next to the rolling countryside. This 1,000 Goddesses gathering came out of direct guidance, a request from Earth Mother. And a number of very gifted Native American elders have confirmed I work very closely with Earth Mother. And one told me this spring that my work with Earth Mother is in the prophecies. I don't know if the Thousand Goddess Gatherings yesterday is in the prophecies, but my sense is it could well be in the prophecies. So I have surrendered to Earth Mother, and that's how my last 2 books were written, with her, for her ideas. So that's how this event came to happen. I had no idea it was going to happen this fast. I thought we were going to do it in 2017. So Noelle can speak to the blitzkrieg past few months. But we did it. We did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mare, do you feel that you are feeling it to happen again?
Oh, good question. I think odds are really good it's going to happen again. I mean, I think what happened yesterday with this huge spiritual infusion from the Divine Masculine at very, very high realms, very pure energy, it's going to need to keep on coming in. I think it's a question of each of us also helping it come in personally in our lives. But I think people don't understand really the power of ceremony. When you have some people who can really hold the space, and I really attribute a lot of it to Omileye. I mean, I've been doing ceremony for a long time, but yeah, this level ceremony is huge. So this is not your typical event on the Washington Mall that happened yesterday. I know they have other ceremonies that happen too, but people are clamoring for it. And when I had the conversation with the really gifted light worker last night, who explained everything that was going on in spiritual realms, or most of it, she's like, oh yes, this is going to happen again. And she started talking about it. I said, tell you what, let's discuss that in a week or so. I need to like have some downtime.
One question for you. How did you get hooked up with Omileye?
Oh, I've known of her for at least since I first met Robin Youngblood. And I know, Elizabeth, you know Robin Youngblood. Robin Youngblood is a very gifted medicine woman who's part Okanagan, part Cherokee. She is based out of Washington State. And Robin and I met at a wisdom gathering in Holland in June 2013. And Robin and I really connected and bonded. And she started sending me information about Omileye and told me she's on Omileye's Water Council. And I've been doing water ceremony for a long time too, just quietly. And when I visited Robin in 2013 and had shared with Robin that I had just done, I was doing water ceremony everywhere I was going in Washington State. Every time, I mean, I just try to do it wherever I go, actually. And so I did water ceremony on the coastline there north of Seattle and was told to spiritually wait. And sure enough, these seals came. I think they were seals. Were they otters? I can't remember. These seals came in, and it was kind of an industrial waterfront, and I was really surprised. But then I was told, you were meant to wait here till they came for you. And when I shared that with Robin, when I saw her later in the day, she says, I'm going to connect you with Omileye to see if maybe you could be on her water council also. And honestly, Omi didn't get the message at the time, but I reached out to her directly this summer after she came back from Tibet, visiting with Kutan La and the oracle, directing her to visit the Kutan La, the Dalai Lama's oracle in Tibet. And so we connected then, and I sent her some sacred water because I've got waters from all over the world. And then when this event was meant to happen and Mother said it's happening in October, Mother also said, you need to contact Omileye. She needs to be part of it. But Omi had to do divination. For her to do something on this level, she has to go and pray and get specific spiritual guidance, and called divination. I don't know if I'm defining that correctly, but she had to do it a couple times because honestly, when we talked about chanting and dancing to the White House and then beaming wisdom and compassion to the White House, she said, I don't think I can do that, because if you send energy to any place, there's going to be energy that comes back. And part of her commitment and work with Oshun, she works closely with the Ifa oracle, for her is that she cannot be in any conflictual energetic position. So we actually dropped going to the White House, partly because she felt she couldn't be there for the entire event if we did that. And then, anyway, things evolved from where they did. And so we ended up doing it yesterday at Constitution Gardens. So the trees there, it was perfect. The pond was there, a huge pond in the gardens, the trees. But that's how I first connected with Omi. It's kind of a long answer.
That's great.
She's amazing. I love listening to her talk.
Yeah.
I love her accent and her energy. Oh my gosh, beautiful energy. Yeah. So anything else you want to know from me? I'm kind of feeling like I need to sort of pull back and let you guys be interviewed more by Jennifer.
Yes, that's fine. So I think we can let Mayor go.
There's one more.
Yeah, okay, very good. Okay.
Oh yeah, Jody, please.
One more comment.
Okay, because Jody really made it, found a way to come, and Jody's very gifted. She was tuned in on some really deep levels from the get-go.
And she came here directly this morning to be able to share with us.
Oh, good.
Can you see me, Mare?
Yeah, I can. Hi.
Yay! Thank you for what you said. And I wanted a chance to just share with you, first of all, my extraordinary gratitude for what you got together. It was so important, and I know all of us have felt this, and I did tell this to Mare. The moment that I saw the post on Facebook, I absolutely knew that I needed to be there. The grandmother spoke to me, the ancestor spoke to me, and yes, as you know, and I've already said, I had to make it happen. I have my own responsibility for light on this planet, and there isn't big fat Swiss bank account. I needed to be here, period, end of story. And all of the sisters and our brother here and our connection has been extremely important. The work that has gone on since yesterday on many different levels. And I arrived yesterday at about 11:45, and I was walking up to the group of sisters and brothers, and I got into Constitution Gardens, and as I started walking towards all of you, Hawk came flying out of the east, and then literally gave me an escort flying right along with me as I walked towards all of you. And then as I arrived upon the gathering, then Hawk landed in the tree behind you. And, you know, that was my name being Red Hawk, of course. That was huge. It was such a beautiful, beautiful welcome and testimony to, you know, the work that you did in bringing this together, in heeding the call, and that all of us are doing and have done. And I also wanted to share that the beauty of recognizing the divine masculine that you bring in, which is such a higher realm, you know, an understanding and consciousness of the work that you are doing here on the planet to bring back peace, bring back light, bring back love. And Bob, when you spoke, when Bob spoke just a few moments ago, I practically couldn't stop crying because I was so moved, Bob, by when you said that your intention was to follow the goddess. I lost it. It's so near and dear to my heart to be here on the planet, to bring back love and light with no boundaries, and just a story. And to receive that from God was so amazing. And I also wanted to say again, in testimony to what you brought there, when Pam, we were singing yesterday, the monument scene, we'll refer to it as. I also, as I'm sure many people were doing, I was also focusing on sending that light and love up through the monument. Like you stopped staring at the monument and was rooted into the center of Mother Earth. And there was so much power from our spirit family that was running through me yesterday, as with all of us. And I was standing there listening to and watching Pam and feeling your essence. Just ginormous. I can't even put it into words, sister. What you brought. The goddess, you were the goddess.
I was getting it from everyone that was there. You talked about that this morning. The ancestors, the wind. I don't want to interrupt your talk, but the talk about the wind, I was actually complaining about it in the morning, and then I realized it was completely a player. It was a character in the day. It was cleansing, and that song, my song begins, Holy Wind, blow through me, cast away my suffering, sing your truth, holy wind, I'll do my part, make a sail of my heart, bind me to your ship of love. So the wind, and, you know, as our beautiful mentor Barbara Mark Hubbard says, all great changes proceed from chaos. So it felt like the wind was giving us the element of chaos to remind us that this is not a day at the beach. It could have been just sunny and light and it's all. No, we were being charged, and it also drew us together to layer in this beautiful stars, to hug one another. You saw me embrace. We came together because the wind was a character, a force. So that's what I felt, that holy wind, the Shekinah blowing through me. She was alive. She was,
Yeah. And so, Barb, what did you call it?
The winds have changed.
The winds of change, right? That's what I kept hearing yesterday. The winds of change, and I also, as a healer and a medicine woman, they also work with it. And for me, it's fire. There's a reason why I have a tattoo of a half woman, half dragon on my chest, which I got when I was totally asleep.
Mayor, I just want to close and thank you. I don't know how I got on the team, but
Oh no, you chose to be on the team, Noel, when you reached out to me 2 years ago with the Great Mother Wisdom Gathering. You chose it then. Little did you know. I also want to say really quickly that Oya, her name is Oya, the goddess in the Ifa tradition. And this is what Latavia, who was not there, but she coordinated the spiritual cleansing station with all the priestesses there, a group from Baltimore. She said it's Oya. She's bringing winds of good change to help cleanse and shift all negativity to the positive and nurturing spirit we're all praying for. Oh, good. Oya.
High five, Oya.
awesome.
Thank you so much for making this Zoom call possible.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mayor, I also want to thank you for the sacred water, and I'll share that this Mayor gave me some sacred water off of her own too. And so I'm going to share that with all the sisters.
Oh, good. Were you able to mix it with any of the water that was in the cauldron there yesterday too?
We have a whole bottle of that too.
So mix it together. All good. Because that's powerful water with what you guys did as the men being held, with all of us holding space with Chipolu. That water really got amped up.
We've got a whole liter of it.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, there was some extra. So is it okay for me to like phase out? And you guys are...
We just do something energetically as a group here to hold our hands up and from our hearts.
Yeah.
Tone our infinite love and gratitude to you, because your physical body, I know, is weary today, but we are all suffused with answering the call to this
I
process.
will receive it. I have my hands open to receive. My heart is open to receive.
So let's open our hands, let's open our hearts with our feet placed on Mother Earth. We feel the roots going deep into the earth through this column of light out through the tops of our heads. We join together as cells in this body of infinite love, of the divine feminine married and merged with divine masculine, a balance of profound harmony, power. We sent you the love from our hearts, the warm blanket of the Mother herself, thanking you, O daughter of the light, of the water, of the air, of the earth, fire, of all of the goddesses that you represented with this day, of answering the call. We send you energy. We send you fortitude. We send you our delight and our gratitude, our joy, and we send above all our support and commitment. That on the bridge forward, we are here as a community, co-creating. Whatever is asked of us, come next. Each one of us is a note in this great symphony of transformation. May you feel that melody play with you today as you rise. Feel the Great Mother herself wrap you in an embrace of infinite gratitude. Shower you with love for having the faith to step into this call. And it is being felt in such a profound way. Feel that today and feel our strength and love to you now and on and on together. And a little bit of holy wind.
Yum.
Because the wind is a big one.
There's holy wind and then there's holy wind. This is a lovely holy wind. It's not too aromatic. Thank you. All right, I love you guys. Those of you in the love team, you'll be hearing from me in the next day or so. I do want to do a debrief meeting, just to kind of learn from everything we did. But this was beautiful, and I really want to thank Jennifer and Suzanne, the video crew.
Thank you, Shari. See what happens. The eyes and ears.
Yeah, and I thank the folks behind Zoom for making this possible, so I can go back to bed now.
Sweet dreams.
Okay.
We love you.
Love you. Thank you.